Hello and welcome to the World Environment Day. We call the June month as World Environment Month also, and hence, as we are talking about the part of biodiversity, so we are studying regarding the nature, we are studying regarding our environment. Okay, so let's continue the part of biodiversity and conservation. Okay, now in the continued part of biodiversity and conservation, we have patterns of biodiversity. We have a title called as patterns of biodiversity, under which we come across various types of these gradients. First one is a latitudinal gradient, and second comes the species area relationships. So first let's study what is the latitudinal gradient. Now generally what we say, as we move towards the latitude of the globe, as we move towards from the equatorial region towards the polar regions, the species richness will decrease, and it is vice versa. As we move from the polar regions towards the equator, the species richness will increase. Okay, why it is so? Because the equatorial region, mainly we call this region as a tropical rainforest, and in this tropical rainforest it harbors a majority of the species, because the environmental condition remains the same throughout the world, not throughout the world, throughout the entire year. As a result, as the temperature is feasible for the sustenance and survival of the organisms, we call this equatorial region as a tropical region, and as it harbors a lot of species. Then comes the temperate region, then comes the polar region. Temperate regions has less biodiversity, and polar regions has the least biodiversity, very less, because the climatic condition is frozen and it is not suitable for sustenance of a majority of the life. Okay, so let's study the characters of the latitudinal gradients. Okay, now in the first point, we come across the diversity of plants and animals is not uniform throughout the world, but shows a rather uneven distribution. Okay, as we know why it shows uneven distribution, so we'll come to know in the next point. Now in general, species diversity, look at this part. In general, the species diversity, it decreases, so it goes on decreasing as we move away from equator towards the polar regions. So how it is? Okay, so let's see it. Now suppose if we take this as the globe. Now in this globe we make the middle part, this as the equator. So this is the equatorial region. From the equatorial region, on the top side we call it as a north pole, this as the south pole. We call both ends as a polar regions. Okay, now here from the equator, this is 23.5 degree north, and lower one 23.5 degree south. Now this region is said to be what? The tropical region. And above this, so over this if we come, we can call this as the temperate region. So this is the equator. From the equator, 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south. So this belt we call it as a tropical belt. Above this we call it temperate. Above this we call polar regions. Okay, now look at the statement here. In general, species diversity decreases as we move away from the equator towards the poles. That means if we move from the equator towards the polar region, the species diversity decreases, and vice versa. If we move from polar regions towards the equator, the species richness will increase, because this belt receives more sunlight and the temperature is constant throughout the year. As a result, the species can survive and sustain in this environmental condition. That is the reason where this equatorial belt or the tropical region has the highest species richness. Okay, then comes the temperate region, the number of the species is less there because the climatic condition becomes cold. Polar regions, it is in the frozen condition, so that's why it harbors a very least species. Look at the part here. So tropical forest, it has the highest species diversity in the world throughout the globe. Temperate regions, less number of species. Now polar regions, least number of species. Okay, so very less number of species are there because sunlight which it receives is also less. Temperature is severely cold. It is in minus degree Celsius. It might be minus 20, minus 30, minus 50. Okay, so more than that also. So totally it will be frozen, in frozen condition throughout the year. That's why as we move from the equator towards the polar region, the species richness will decrease. From the north pole or from the polar regions towards the equator, the species richness will increase. Now look at this. Now from the equatorial region, if we move towards the polar region, the species richness will decrease, and from the polar regions, if we move towards the equator, the species richness will increase. So that's why we say it is vice versa. Okay, so this is regarding the point. Now let's go to the next point. Latitudinal range of 23.5 degree to 23.5 degree north and south. So this is the north, this is the south, as I have shown here. 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south. It harbors, it has lot of species. So more species than temperate or polar regions. Okay, this is an comparative account for the species where they are present in temperate and polar. In the temperate region and polar region, the number of the species are less. In this belt, equatorial belt, 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south, the total number of species are more. So that is the statement which an ecologist say. Then let's go to the next one. Colombia, which is located near the equator. So Colombia, it is located near the equator, has nearly 1400 species of birds. Look at this. This is again not the number of the birds, it is not the population of the birds, it is a species. For example, if we take a peacock belongs to one species, pigeon belongs to one more species, a parrot belongs to one more species, a crow one more species. In such a way that if we look at the number of the species of birds, Colombia located near equator, because equator harbors a lot many species. So Colombia located near equator has a nearly 1400 species of birds, while New York, okay, New York at 41 degree north. So New York at 41 degree north has 105 species of birds. Then look at the next part. Greenland at 71 degree has only 56 species of birds. Now look at the species richness with respect to the birds here. Colombia, as it is located near the equatorial region, as we know, this equatorial belt, this has highest number of species. So we are taking an example of Colombia. So Colombia, which is located nearer to the equator, not exactly at the equatorial belt, nearer to the equatorial belt, has the highest number of species of birds. We are talking only about the birds. Be particular about it. It has how many? 1400 species of birds. New York at 41 degree. Look at this. This is 23.5 degrees south. This is at the north. New York is present towards the north region. So in the America. So 41 degree means above this. 41 degree north means it comes under the temperate region only. So 41 degree north has 105 species of birds. And Greenland at 71. Look at this. Above this, again 71 degrees. Above this, above the New York is Greenland at 71 degree north has only 56 species of birds. That means as we move from equatorial region towards the polar region, the species richness will decrease. As we move from polar regions towards the equator, the species richness will increase. This is a classical example quoted by the ecologist. And these are the facts and figures. You have to remember these numbers because it will be asked for an objective part. So this statement is most important. So Colombia has a 1400 species of birds. New York has 105 species of birds, and Greenland has how many species? Only 56 species of birds. This is from the polar region, from the equator towards the polar regions. Okay, the next one, India. So India, it comes under the tropical latitudes, has more than 1200 species of birds. So even India is also rich in species diversity. So our country, it consists of 1200 species of birds, and a majority of these birds is identified by Salim Ali, and he is called as an ornithologist also. Okay, so this is regarding the points of the latitudinal gradient with respect to the species richness. Then the next part, a forest in tropical region like Ecuador. Look at this. Ecuador is a region of a tropics. So tropical means again nearer to the equatorial belt. We call it as a tropical region. Now Ecuador, as it is located near the tropical region of the globe, has up to 10 times, look at this, has up to 10 times as many species of vascular plants compared to the temperate regions like Midwest of USA. So here we are comparing the total number of plant species in the Ecuador as well as in USA. So Ecuador has up to 10 times, the species richness is 10 times more than the Midwest of United States of America. So that's why this Ecuador, as it is located nearer to the equatorial belt in the tropical region, has a highest plant diversity while compared to the Midwest of USA. Okay, so here we are comparing because we are just observing which species are surviving in what climatic condition. So that's why that if the climatic condition is suitable, majority of the species will survive. Okay, for example, in India we have different climatic conditions also, but though we have different climatic conditions, the environmental conditions almost remains same, and it may vary slightly from one region to another region. Okay, now suppose if we take one region like Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, if you look at the summer, in the summer the temperature rises more than 50 degrees Celsius also. But look at the temperature in our state. So you can just compare the temperature of the states also. In our temperature, highest temperature recorded will be around 43 degrees Celsius, and lowest might be around 15 degrees Celsius or 12 degrees Celsius, not less. That means there is a not so fluctuation in certain regions, and there will be more fluctuations in certain regions. If there are no fluctuations in the temperature of a particular region, it consists of a maximum number of species. If there is a lot of fluctuation in the temperature, the species cannot survive. And suppose if the temperature are very severe, okay, let us consider the temperature is too high, the temperature is too low. So both the extremities do not harbor, do not consist, do not give a habitat to survive the species. So that's why optimum meaning if the temperature is suitable for the organisms, they can survive and they can flourish like anything. Okay, then let's go to the next one, the biggest forest, the Amazon rainforest. It is the biggest forest in the world. Okay, so as we have discussed in the previous class, what is the Amazon forest called as? Lungs of planet Earth. Okay, so the Amazon rainforest in South America, located in the South America, has the greatest biodiversity on the earth. Look at this amazing thing here. So Amazon rainforest is called as the greatest biodiversity on the earth. That's why Amazon forest is the biggest forest. It is the greatest forest in the entire world. Okay, then why we call it as the greatest biodiversity on the earth? Because it has, look at the species here, it has 40,000 species of plants. Most important, these are again facts and figures only. It has around 40,000 species of plants, 3,000 species of fishes, 1,300 species of birds, 427 species of mammals, 427 species of amphibians, 378 species of reptiles, and more than 1,25,000 of invertebrates. Look at the species richness. Wow, that's why we say biodiversity is the life of earth, and biodiversity, because of this rich biodiversity, we are surviving. Okay, then if we look at this number, this is the highest and richest number in terms of species richness. That's why we have the great Amazon forest, which resides a lot of species. So what does it has? So these numbers are most important. Again, I am telling you, I am stressing on this point. These numbers are most important as far as exam point of view is considered, because the numbers do not change. The number may change in that region, and we are looking at the facts which are already discovered and written according to the NCERT. Okay, and a lot many species, new species will be there, they can be discovered also. We cannot say, okay, suppose if we say 40,000 species of plants, is that fixed? No, because this Amazon rainforest, as it is very thick forest, still lot many species might be present there. So that's why, so total number of species which are discovered and described, we have taken them into consideration. So other species might be there, but we are believing the numericals of your NCERT. Okay, so for what is the Amazon rainforest has? 40,000 species of plants, 3,000 species of fishes, and 1,300 species of birds. Then look at this, 427 species of mammals, 427 species of amphibians, 378 species of reptiles, and more than 1,25,000 species of invertebrates. Okay, then next, scientists estimate that 2 million insect species are waiting to be discovered. Look at this number, 2 million. It's not a small number. 2 million insect species is yet to be discovered and described. That's why I will be telling, if you become a biologist and ecologist, then you have a lot of time to discover these species, because class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda is the biggest phylum in the world, which consists of many species while compared to the rest of the animal kingdom. So that's why 2 million species of insects are yet to be discovered in the Amazon rainforest. Okay, so that what makes biology as its beauty. So this is the aesthetic, nature's beauty, because these species are present in the nature. We have not created it. They have been produced by the process of evolution. So what is evolution? You will study in the topic called as evolution. So this is regarding the characters where we are going to study with respect to the latitudinal gradient, with respect to the patterns of biodiversity.